So welcome everyone. We're gonna start. Greg. No, the mic's not gonna work here. It works online though. So here we don't have a mic. We should be fine. So first of all, I want to thank you all being here. The only thing I wanted to mention, well, as you see, we have our sponsors, Novatech, Sherwin-Williams, and Dan Darcy Associate. Just give me a second. I'll just go mute your computer here. So Maria and Patrick from Sherwin-Williams were supposed to be here today. Given the weather conditions, their flight got canceled, so they couldn't be here. But she wanted me to read a little message for you guys, so I'll start with that. Then after that, we'll go to Terry, who's online. You can see him here. And then after that, we'll go to Jean-François. Donc, encore d'être ici, puis on va commencer. So Maria wanted to say Sherwin-Williams is proud to partner with Fenestration Canada as a major sponsor. Sherwin-Williams recognizes the value that Fenestration brings to our community of peers at national level. We are excited to make our presence known, and more importantly, we are eager to assist you with all your coating needs. We have prepared some giveaways that you can see here. Feel free to help yourself, and on behalf of Sherwin-Williams, we thank you for your support. So she wanted to make sure the message went to you guys, so help yourself with all this stuff here. Whatever you don't grab, I need to bring back, so please feel free to. So Terry, we'll start with you. I'll just make sure we can hear you fine. Maybe if you can test your audio here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, all good. So if you, I guess you need to share your screen so you can do
yes,
that.
please. Yeah. Okay, let me just.
Yeah, if you share it, it should bump JF's screen.
Okay, let me just see if I can do this. No, hold on.
I'll just turn off this sharing.
How do I fix that? That's it. Okay, can you see that?
No, so give me a second.
Okay.
Your screen is not sharing, so I'll.
It says that it is.
So no, we still see it's not sharing your screen.
Give me 1 second. Sure. Let's read it. Says this.
Here you go.
It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. I've only had one coffee. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes, and so I just wanted to, so what I forgot to tell you guys is if you have a question for Terry, let me know. I'll bring the microphone so he hears you. And even when it's for Jean-François, just so people online rewatching this can hear your question clearly, we're going to give you a microphone. So Terry, you can start.
Good to go. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Good morning from the wet and dreary West Coast today. Unfortunately, I'm obviously not there. I do have a few slides I wanted to share with the group, just about a few of the updates of what are going on and some of the activities that we're working on. That right there, that's what I looked like when Steph told me that I wasn't going to be able to join you guys in Moncton today. I was really disappointed to not make that trip, but you're in really great hands with JF, of course, and Steph there to help everybody out. Thanks to our sponsors, of course, as Steph mentioned, Sherwin, Novatech, and Dan Darcy. Appreciate you guys doing what you do for us. Okay, so a few updates of some things that we're working on. Fall protection out of the 2020 NBC. So the protection of openable, sorry, I got to move something here. I'm going to move that down there. Openable window requirements in Part 3 and Part 9 have been harmonized, so the language is nearly identical. Part 3 requirements for guard height unprotected window openings remains at the 1070 millimeters. So that's typical Part 3 MERB type buildings, large buildings. And then Part 9 changes are more significant compared to NBC 2015. So the height of the unprotected window opening has been raised from 450 millimeters to 900. So that's about 17 inches to 36 inches roughly. Description of the mechanism that limits the opening size has also changed. They've removed the language that used to say that you could use an rotary operated casement window and remove the handle and that would qualify. That's been taken out, so no longer works. The main point of why we're talking about fall protection in NBC 2020 is the mechanism cannot be an ASTM F2090 window opening control device. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more here. And they also removed the exemption for houses that had a secondary suite. So it used to be that if you had a suite in your basement, you didn't have to worry about fall protection in the upper floors. That's been removed as well. So part 3, window opening below guard height, more than 1,800 millimeters from the floor or ground on the other side. Bit of an image there that shows you that if your opening is below that height on the inside, the outside is greater than 1,800 millimeters to the ground, you have to have fall protection on that window. And then part 9, same thing essentially, with the only change being 900 millimeters is your limit height on the inside. So opening limiter hardware, both part 9 and part 3, the hardware used to limit window openings for fall protection is described as a mechanism that can only be released with the use of tools or special knowledge. If you read the annex note to 9.8.8.1, it's extremely confusing as it appears to recognize the use of an ASTM F2090 compliant WOCD device while describing devices and release methods that do not conform to the standard. It's extremely confusing the way it reads. It makes you think that a WOCD compliant device is compliant in the 2020 NBC. It's not. During the standing committee's discussion of the code change, the proponents specifically rejected our industry's recommendation to allow these devices. Hence, that change in 2020, the 2020 language does provide for the 2020 language does not provide for the compliant use of F2090 devices for fall protection. Fenestration Canada, along with FGIA and WDMA, drafted a letter outlining our reasons that we think a WOCD device should be allowed. That's been sent out to all the provinces and specifically for you guys to the Atlantic Code offices, outlining these challenges with the language in 2020. We're going to be following up with them as they work through their adoption of the 2020 NBC. It's expected that all provinces across the country, with the exception of Quebec, will adopt the 2020 NBC or a variation of it in their provinces. Atlantic Canada typically adopts the NBC as written. So right now, the WOCD device will not be compliant as per the language there. We're still working to try and see if we can somehow get some relief on that. So then for those that maybe don't know these devices, can you see that video? For those that haven't seen these devices, I wanted to show you what they look like.
We can see it.
Yeah, okay. So WOCD device requires 2 distinct motions to release it. So there's a button and a spring slide that releases it, and then it re-engages as soon as you close the window. Very great device for a window for fall protection that also allows somebody to open that window. So obviously that's an Amesbury Truth product. There are several other hardware companies that have F2090 devices. One of our main arguments to this change and trying to see some relief or some reversal of it is that oftentimes restrictor devices for fall protection get removed by homeowners. And that was really the basis of a lot of our argument, is that this device allows people that that can protect that opening, or that don't have children, they're not worried about fall protection. It allows them to open that window and potentially open it for an egress condition. So we're working on it. There are some hopeful conditions across the country. Alberta is looking at it quite in depth. BC doesn't sound like they're going to adopt it, but they're giving us some options that we might be able to get an amendment put in a year. So like I say, we are working on this. Actually, just to jump back for a sec, one province that already has this device as being compliant is Quebec. They adopted language in their version that was referencing the 2015 NBC to allow these devices. And right now, it doesn't sound like they're going to make any changes to that in their next version of their code. So we're working on it. It's a bit of a challenge, but hopefully we can get some gains out of it. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about glazing guard heights as well. So heighted guards under 9.8.8.3, except this provided in sentence 2, all guards shall not be less than 1070. So what that does is it applies a height to glazing guards for all buildings, but specifically that clause references MERB and commercial type buildings with multi-unit common spaces, things like that. And then all guards within dwelling units. So this is very specific to single family homes or row houses that have dwelling units. Their height limit for guard glazing is 900 millimeters. Something else that changed that's interesting, in the 2015 code, there used to be a clause that said, well, there is a clause that says the adjacent surface within 1.2 meters of a walking surface that has a slope of more than 1 and 2 required guard load glazing at 900 millimeter or less than 900 millimeters. They've changed that language that says in the 2020 now, where the difference in elevation is more than 600 millimeters between the walking surface and the adjacent surface within 1.2 meters. So what I tried to do was provide some graphics that explains what that means. So this graphic shows the 2015 version. So a window lower than 900 millimeters would require guard glazing if the ground level to the outside was a greater than 600 millimeter drop within 1200 millimeters of the wall. So that graphic shows what that would look like, that you would require guard glazing. And then is it here? Is it here? 2 meters. I thought I put in another graphic there, but I didn't. So guard glazing required where you have 600 millimeter drop from the floor level to the exterior and less than 900 millimeters to the window. And then if you had a ground level or not more than 600 millimeters and the window was still below 900 millimeters, you would not require guard glazing for that window. And then guard glazing not required at all if the window is below 600, man, I gotta have another coffee, man. Above 900 millimeters, you do not require guard load glazing on that window, even if the drop to the outside is greater than 600 millimeters. So I want to come back to that 2020 language. I thought I'd created a graphic for it, but I guess I didn't. So they're saying that where the difference in the elevation is more than 600 millimeters between the walking surface and the adjacent surface within 1.2 meters. So it says the same thing. It just says it a little bit differently. So that's what that the graphic showing the within 1200 millimeters of the wall and a 600 millimeter drop. Hopefully that's clear. without that extra coffee. It's a little bit unclear for me at the moment. All right. So then I just wanted to update you on a couple other things that we're doing. We created with the Atlantic chapter members a document, created a simplified outline of the requirements for fenestration labeling. Documents useful to members, building officials, builders, consumers. Provides easy to read guidance and details about the requirements for NAFs and energy labels, labeling in the Atlantic region. The document's available in English or French, and you can get it from either Greg, Alan, Steve Nason, or you can get it through the FenCan office. Pretty handy if you've got a builder that maybe doesn't understand what the requirements are, or a consumer that needs to know what the labeling requirements are for NAFs and energy in your region. Oops. Also, the membership committee, in partnership with the regional chapters, drafted a letter that went out to all the building official organizations across the country. Steve Nason in your region was a building official in your region. I don't know if Steve's there today. Was instrumental in getting this out. Really appreciate his help in that region. We're seeing some success there. We have several Atlantic region building officials that are have joined our association. This obviously helps to provide us with an improved connection to their needs and provide them with better understanding of our challenges. So really great to see that getting some uptake. We're also seeing some uptake in other regions across the country. I've often found it to be really critical that we engage with the building officials community. It's been a big part of what I did in the West for a long time. You know, there's so much change and so much complexity now that having that communication open between the groups is really helpful and allows them to participate in some of our events to get some of our education and understand what our challenges are. So if you have any connections to a local building official, please request a copy for them, and we can fire it off to them, and they will hopefully join us. As an aside, that membership for a building official across the country is free in perpetuity. So if a building official is working for an AHJ across the country, they join our association at no charge for as long as they remain an engaged building official. So great deal for them, great deal for us to have them participating in our activities. Some of you might be aware of this. There was some recent changes to the labeling requirements for products that contain formaldehydes. So Fenestration Canada partnered with WDMA to submit a letter to Health Canada asking for some clarification of the requirements for labeling of composite wood products containing formaldehydes. Health Canada guidance document on the changes can be found at that link below, or simply reach out to me at terry@fenestrationcanada.ca and I can send you that link or a copy of the document. There is a very specific section, section 7, that references labeling. Manufacturers and importers must label all applicable composite wood panels and laminated products, as well as the finished goods that incorporate them. And that's really key. So like I say, we've reached out to Health Canada to get some clarity on what that labeling means. You know, if you're building a window or door system that has these products in it, does it mean that you also need to label that product? So we're going to get some better guidance on that. There is a question in our technical forum on our website that it talks about this. It came from Pierre-Luc. So I'm going to be following up on that and adding some responses in that link. So if you go in there and just if you like that link, you'll be able to get updates as they come through. And that's the forum. If you're not aware, and I always bring this up whenever we have an event, we have a online live forum. Well, it's not live, but an online forum on our website where you can pose questions. As soon as questions go into there, I get notified, and then I go to work on trying to get you answers. And the beauty of it is that other people can reference and look through this forum for questions and answers of things that they may have some interest in. You can comment to them, you can like them to raise their profile. Really would like guys to try and engage with this forum. I think it's a really useful tool for members, and I'm seeing some uptick, but with online forums, it's always a challenge to get participation. So really would like guys to try and use that. So. And then closing, so watch for, we've got 2 new Tech Talk sessions coming up in April, so on the 13th and the 27th. The 13th is going to be on the LEAF methodology for NFRC modeling, so that should be really interesting to anybody using NFRC. It's going to simplify some of that work you do. And then on the 27th, I'm doing one on acoustics for windows and window glazing, OITC requirements, and some of the difficulties hitting some of those sound transmission targets when we get into more custom glazing, like triple glazing, things like that. So those two are coming up this month. So keep an eye out for the invites for those. We've launched our new commercial chapter. So you're going to be seeing some educational content coming out of that group. If the commercial world is part of what you do, you're going to watch for that. And of course, our spring AGM is coming up May 23rd, 26th in Kelowna. You can go to our website to register for that. The education sessions for that are very, very close to being finalized. So they'll be updated on the website very soon. So you'll be able to see some of the education that we're doing, and hopefully some of you, and I know some of you will be joining us there. So hopefully others can as well. So that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for inviting me in. And any questions on any of that from anybody or anything else?
Comments, questions in the room? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, I can go have another coffee.
Okay, so we'll go to Jean-Francois then.
All right, you bet. Thanks.
Envoie juste moi, là. Oh, pas non. Sorry. Okay. Good show. So welcome, everybody. I'll present in English, but if you got a question in French, okay. I can understand that. Thank you for being here today. I want to thank our sponsors, Novatech, Sherwin-Williams, back with me today, like you know, and then Darcy. Thank you guys to make us be able to do these things. So present, I'm gonna, you know, when I was on the retail side, the toughest thing I had to live with was people at fall calling me and say, how come there's condensation on my window? You said it was good windows. I didn't have any before. So sitting with, I've talked to Terry. He said, I think we can do something on that on the presentation. So I will try to help you answer your customers and help your customer answer their customers. So that's the purpose of the presentation today on condensation. Okay. Okay. What causes the condensation? We're going to talk about that today. There's different things causing that. And sometimes just little things can change everything in the house. How can you manage that when you got too much humidity in the house? How can you manage it? General interior relative humidity guidance. There's a guide made by FenCan that you can show your customers. That's what it is. That temperature, you shouldn't have more than this humidity, this percentage of humidity in the house. And the big thing, exterior condensation. That's a tough one to manage. You said, the more your window is efficient, the more it can happen. And tough to explain. Temperature and humidity. Well, we all know that humidity in your or moisture. You say moisture or humidity in the glass? Both or? Because in French, moisture is look like when it's black and it's dangerous for your health. Hey, both. Okay. So we'll say humidity. Easier for me. So condensation is the result of too much humidity and cold temperature on the surface of your glass inside. I think that the best example you can give to your customer is just look at your mirror when you take a shower. That's condensation, and it's because that's the coldest part of your bathroom. Every condensation issue can be managed. Okay, you can control it, and with control of temperature, humidity, and also airflow. Airflow is the big thing to work on. Humidity can increase from different part, like showers. If you got teenagers, that'd be a big problem. They take a lot of showers, long showers, and you don't have any vacuum. Is that what you trap or vent? Yeah, to clear the humidity in the bathroom. Washing dishes, clothes. See a lot of when I was again visiting customers complaining about humidity. Lots of time you go in the basement and they have a long line and they hang their clothes to dry. And then I got too much humidity in the house. Well, that's one of the reasons. Aquariums, I've seen big aquariums, like a pool in the house. Standing water. You can have problems also in your foundation, your foundation, crack in your basement. Water comes in, you don't see it under your second floor on the basement. Then it creates humidity. And this is not to take with, it's a big concern, tough to repair. People, we just transpire, we breathe, and we create a lot of humidity in the house. So the more people you have, say when you have a party, you're 20 in a house, look at your windows, okay? And I had a trick at a time saying, if you open your door during winter and you see fog going out, you got humidity problem, okay? Pets, plants, also, when you put water on your plants, if you got a ton like a garden, you know, inside, well, that may be a problem too. It has to dry. Like I said, bath, showers, washing dishes or clothes, meal preparation. When you boil your water a long time, then you can create that without a fan. Aquarium, water infiltration, like in the basement or somewhere else in the house that you don't know. Indoor firewood drying. People bring firewood inside and let it dry from winter. It's good because it's drier than outside, so it's going to dry faster. But where's that water going? In your house. Backwaters, sweating and breathing of human and pets and plants. It can be more than that, but that's a problem with humidity. Well, there's a different way to resolve it. Removing or reducing indoor humidity in the house. Well, you know, just little things like closing your toilet bowl. Okay. So just that humidity going up time. Putting fans to take the humidity out in your bathroom, in your kitchen, basement moisture also, because humidity is going up with the heat. So even if it comes from the basement, it's going to go up and react on your top floor windows because it's going up. Lots of time people say, I only got sliders in the basement, there's no condensation. You did put me a new casement on top on the first floor and there's condensation in it. Of course it's going up. So you're going to realize it on the top floor. Humidifiers, some people just crank it. The big dilemma, if I can say, is between human comfort and building material comfort. Saying that if you see a doctor, he's going to say, well, you need at least 40–45% humidity in the house. And if you look at your windows, I would say more than 20% condensation. So you have to take a decision between that. Can I find a way to be comfortable in the house, not bleeding my nose, you know, and not having condensation in the house? So some people just crank the humidifier in the house and they say, I need it. I've seen on old air furnace, they had a thing there that you had a float with water going out, and the float was just jamming there, so water was going all the time. And there was like that's the real meaning of moisture for me coming in. And the furnace was shipping that in the house. So we had that, I would say, bad condition in the air. Use of interior exhaust fan, like I said, in the kitchen and the bathroom where water is created. Using a dehumidifier in the basement during fall, spring, and summer. That's where the humidity is creating and coming in the house. It comes, and I've seen that because of a device made here in New Brunswick called Humidex that you can find, I think, only in the home hardware store. And I was installing that when I had window business. I said, can we sell that also? It was tough because people say, yeah, you just sold me windows, now you want to sell me X. But this thing is great. It's only taking the humid air at the floor level and pushing it out. Okay. So during those season, say summer, fall, and spring, humidity coming in the house, go in the G-Block or plywood or wood or whatever you got there, and you could see it. Humidex had at the time a video that you can see humidity going up in the gyps, and then was talking about, I would say 36, 40. And then winter was coming, you started eating the home, and it was taking like 3 months for that humidity going down back to normal. With a system that takes out the humidity, a dehumidifier, you won't let it grow in there. So when you start eating at fall, well, a month and you're done with too much humidity. So that's a good suggestion to give to your customers. Improve the window energy performance. Of course, that's what we do, right? Keep drapes and blinds open to allow warm air to reach glass surfaces. That's another dilemma with our new high performance window. As you all know, to go to Energy Star, we go with the high solar heat gain. So what we can see is overheating. We see that. So customers, what they do is they close the blind. And usually the blind's inside here. So it won't let air go to the window. So they close the blinds all day, then they open it at night, and it's full of humidity. You know, the best thing now is more and more, and I think industry know now, more inside than before. Even if having tablets like this is great to put plants and all this to create more humidity, we know that the perfect situation of a window would be flush to the drywall. That's not nice, but for humidity, it would be perfect for condensation. With airflow going on, no more condensation there. So keep drapes and blinds open, like I said. And heat and add airflow in every room if you can. So you can see that was a drawing made in 2004 by FenCan, just to show that avoid to place your window outside as much as possible and bring it inside. Like I said, flush to the drywall would be perfect, but too nice to look at. You have to do a compromise, and a couple of inches inside is what you should do. Then you got the natural convection of the air going down on the window and drying it. So, and warming the interior glass. Same thing for drapes and blinds. And I would say roll out, is that a blind? Yeah, it's a blind also. So if you can have a space between here, so air can go in and out, that would be perfect. Of course, again, another compromise between I gotta sleep when it's fully dark or I can't sleep. And have it a little bit open so light from outside, even during night, can come in and I can't sleep. Another compromise between humidity and your comfort you have to do. But recommended is to have airflow on the window. And here's the general guidance that was also made by FenCan. You know, minus 20 to minus 20 Fahrenheit, minus 29 is the metric, 15% of less humidity in the house. Of course, your nostril will stick together, that's for sure. But you can see that these days you can tolerate a bit of humidity because of that. You're smiling, you see it coming, eh? Minus 10, minus 23 in Celsius, 15, 20. So you got this that you can show to your customers. What I was doing at the time, and they said, yeah, but I don't have that much humidity. I put my device in my furnace at 25. Yeah, but again, this thing was not working really accurately. So what I was doing, I was going to the any Jean Coutu, that's a pharmacy in Quebec, and buying an agrostat was $14. Seeing the customer, okay, we'll talk in 2 weeks. Can you take a note of humidity level every day so we can talk? They were calling, okay, don't come back. I'm going to fix my problem. Okay. It was costing me $14. Great. Okay. So, because before I was going with a sling, you remember that? Who were, Vince, you worked with that? Vince, you were cranking it and it was giving humidity level. Did someone used it before? No?
For whoever missed it, that is dating them.
Or it was an invention in Quebec only. But this thing, you were turning it and when giving you exact humidity level. But for a customer saying, yeah, you can tell me whatever you want because you were turning and I was looking at the number there and they were saying, yeah, okay. So with that thing on the hygrostat there, that was a lot better. And then any question on the interior condensation? You think that would help you solve some problem with your customers, or you got some answers that you didn't have, or it's going to be on the website, right? If you want to have, or okay. Exterior condensation, that's a huger problem, I can say, to explain to a customer. I'll tell you a story that happened in Quebec. At the time, we had the heat mirror, and the heat mirror 55 was 3 coats of low E on the film, and you had 2 film. So you were creating quadruple. Fantastic result, fantastic performance. But I installed that in a house in front of a lake. You know those big, huge window system that goes to the top like this? And customer called me. He said, it's perfect. I cannot feel the heat anymore coming from the sun. But he says it's full of humidity every morning because of the condensation made by the lake and the glass that was staying cold, like on your car. And he says, I can't see outside until 12 o'clock. I say, yeah. And he says, worst. There's a lot of dust in the air that goes to, so I have to wash all my windows every week, you know? And I said, yeah, but you got high performance window. You say, yeah, but I can't see outside. That's a dilemma. So we finished there was a couple of ways to do it. I consulted some expert. Some was putting fans outside, bring some heat on the window, but you're on the lake, right? So we changed the window. He paid for it, but we didn't charge for installation. Paid for the glass, but he had less performing window and it was okay. But see, the problem is because the windows are too performant. in a situation where there's humidity outside, like in front of the lake. So be aware that, watch what you're selling. And saying that, I would say that with the solar heat gain coefficient high in our windows right now, there's something happening. I mean, since I was on retail, I was going out every night, see customers, see the house, see the way install the window, take the measurement, talk with the customer, and sign your contract. And I've seen changes because the company I sold to my associate at the time, I was still going there sometimes, and salesmen don't go out anymore. They stay in front of their computer and they make a quote, send it. That's it. Waiting for another quote to make. But now I think they will have to go out again because of that. In certain direction, you will sell windows that have more low weak coating on them, darker for those who knows, like solar band 60, you know, because you don't have to want to have overheating. And on the others, you'll have high solar heat gain windows. So you will have to go out, watch the job, watch the orientation of the house, and suggest right things. I think that will make differences. So, and that's a big thing, really tough to explain. We worked on a document, Terry worked on a document that explained that, try to explain that to consumer. I received the French copy yesterday and I'm revising it. So a week from now, it will be available in both languages. Okay. Well, that's a big thing to solve. As you can see on the window here, when you got fog outside, it's humidity outside, it's tough to explain. Any question on condensation, insults, whatever? Oh, I'm good, I'm really bad. No questions. Okay, so what we forgot to do here, Stefan, and it's your fault because you started this thing. Can we go around and present everybody? That would help. Also for the presenter, starting with the lady there.
Not my daughter.
Okay,
I'm Matthew Power, Maritime Door and Window. Daniel King from Coltec.
Voltec, okay.
Jim Alexander from Coltec.
Carl Ballard from Coltec.
Vince McCormick from Coltec.
Greg Dickey from Atlantic.
Bryce Wheeler from Atlantic.
Stevie Graham from Atlantic.
Alan Doyle from Global.
Brian Hook, Building Inspector for Kings Regional Service Commission.
Matthew Hibaire, Lolex Sales Agency.
Zachary Bannister from Extreme.
Jarrett Lewis, Extreme.
Michel Bassarage, Dan Darcy and Associates.
Mike Mann, excuse me, Mike Mann, Maritime Door and Window.
Daniel Chesson, MBF Windows.
Dan Darcy, Darcy and Associates.
Steve Allward from Atlantic Windows.
Okay, thank you all. Who's in the room here are dealing directly with consumers, like installers or salesmen? Is there any? Yeah, okay. Good. So hope that will help you. I just want to explain to you, there's new, and a lot of people know, that's for manufacturers, new pathways to Energy Star certification in Canada. You can save a lot of money. That's new from this year. Remember before you had that was not piggyback on the report of the manufacturer, like your customer couldn't do that. There was a lot of constraint with CSA. So a lot of people went with an FRC, even if they were not selling in United States. Now with the CSA program, based on the CSA A440.2, that's the thermal standard, you can go with your inspection agency only if you sell only in Canada. If you sell in the States, don't even listen, you still have to go back with an FRC. That's the 3 program, plus the others that were doing it in Canada, like QAI with CSA, that didn't change. Whoops. Okay. Nope. Okay. Hope it's gonna stay. Oh, we got the 3 program. Like NFRC didn't change, okay? It's Canada, US, simulation and validation testing. You gotta go both. U values in Imperial. Inspection, you need inspection agency, NAMI, Keystone, ALI. Cost annual fee plus $150 per product. You can use a default frame for your doors, for example. Reissuing of the reports possible. So like Novatech, Trimlight can do the job and reissue the report under your name. And you need a quality manual, of course. NAMI, program with CSA 440.2. It referred, anyway, CSA 440.2 referred to NFRC 700. So same thing at the end. It's for Canada only. You can't sell in the States with that. Simulation only, so you don't need to send your a sample for validation. Results in metric only. NAMI is the IA. Also, you don't need an IA anymore. It's NAMI that does that. Cost is an annual fee, including inspection fees. You check with them, but that's about the same price you were paying before, just for inspection. You still allow the default frame. Reissuing of the reports possible. And again, you need a quality manual. Same thing for Keystone. So people doing business with those agencies can talk to them. It's going to cost you less. I've seen some people that don't do business in the States anyway, that saves $16,000 a year doing that. But again, check with your inspection agency if they offer it. Right now, I know NAMI and Keystone does. The rest, I don't think ALI does, but is there other ones? I don't know. So it's a big change for Energy Star certification. It's big. You know, you pay once the inspection agency and certification body. So that's great. Yeah. Default frame is for the door. NFRC's got a default frame, right? That used to do the simulation without you on test. Doors only, yeah. Yeah, that was put in my attention when I was doing the Novatech recertification. So that's why I knew that. But again, inform you with your inspection agency if you're with NFRC. Any question on that? Except that one?
Is there an expiration date once you get certified?
Same.
It's the same.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I'm not sure. What you got to answer? It's yes or no? No. As long as you don't change anything.
NFRC.
Contest. That's a big thing too. So it may last more than 5 years. And sometimes you got product, I don't know, sliders that you don't change forever because it's not a big seller. You don't have to go back on test for that. Thank you, Alan. I wasn't sure. So I think there's some people aware of that. Yes, Steve.
If the NAMI and Keystone programs are referenced.
If the NAMI and Keystone programs are referencing NFRC 700, is there a way to lobby or talk to US Energy Star to accept those two programs as part of this overall picture now?
Maybe that I don't have the answer. Sorry. So the question would be, can NFRC bend a little bit? Is that okay? Maybe they will feel the heat. I can say that Canadian manufacturers, there's a lot. I would say 90% who don't sell to the States. It will all change over a couple of years now. Of course, a customer, like I said, in St. Julie, when she learned about her agency, she called me and said, "What's that?" Right. So that's what it is. So you better check out. I think also people with NFRC were becoming members, and that's based on your business numbers. But you can go through NFRC with the program without being a member. So that was, at the time, was, I don't know, 2,000 a year. I think it's a little bit higher now, but not that much. But then you had 150 per product. But if you're a member, it was based on your business number, so that can go high. But again, check on your side. I would say that NAMI and Keystone won't do much. Just remember, they do business in the States. They need an FRC. So I can be in their shoes and say, okay, we're going to offer it, but low profile. So if you want to know, call them. There was some question that was brought to me last time at the Quebec meeting. People were talking about LEAF was a new regulation in FRC to simulate product. And they were saying, you know, is it going to impact my results? And I've talked to 2 different labs who does simulation. Really small, if ever there is. Okay. There's another thing I do about going through CSA with your inspection agency is that sometimes for Windows, for doors I've checked, no impact. For Windows, because an FRC go to the 3rd digit after the point, sometimes it goes up and you pass just on the edge. In metric, it's not the same thing, and it's only 2 digits. So I've seen product on the line going down. Rarely, but it can happen. Check that with your lab when you do that. Okay, that's the only concern really I have. So overheating with high solar heat gain become more and more preoccupant. People are talking about it. They got complaint from the customers, and there's a document done by Al that Terry gave me. Really interesting. I think we should use it again, and I can translate it if you say so, because it's really impressive the way the difference of the overheating depending of the amount of coating of low E. Okay, the particles, you know, like solar band 60 compared to I would say Sungate 400, big difference. Okay, it's darker. My opinion only. Sorry for that. I'm on like on TV. Bye. There's because I don't know if you saw the last Glass magazine. They were talking about different solutions to get better with thermal performance. They were talking about quadruple. Can you imagine quadruple with the size of windows you're doing right now? I don't know what's going to happen with that. So they said, okay, but we're going to put thin glass. That's 2 millimeters glass or less. Again, big window, how is it gonna perform? I asked a question to a guy who was talking about that, and he says, but we tested it, it's okay. I said, what size? He said 20 by 60. Okay. That's not what we're doing anymore. That's not what we're doing anymore. There's the vacuum glazing, not there yet. Again, sizes are important because it's so thin. Then with the difference in temperature, they can or go together or split too much, whatever. So I think I was talking about it before, the heat mirror maybe in next done properly. I think it's a solution, because the weight, the quadruple is the weight of a double, not even a triple. Do you have any suggestions for technical topics in the future? Because it would be fun to work on it and come back to you with anything you have concern about. Like I've seen about the mechanism to stop the opening of a window. And I thought after that, sorry, I should have had the question to Terry, but what about the fact that for egress window, they say you should not have to manipulate any hardware to open the window? You say, well, it's easy, you push the button. Yeah, me, I know. My mother, I'm not sure. She's gonna burn inside. So I don't know what about that. So any other concern? No? Okay. Again, thanks Novatech, Sherwin-Williams, and Dan Darcy. I do that every time. Hey?
I think I need the mic, right?
Yeah, no, what I was, what I was thinking about was, and it's, again, it doesn't necessarily apply to this year or next year or whatever, but it's the new, like the step codes, the new, the step codes, and it's the future, and how that's going to be implemented, or how do we see that developing, or how that's going to changing the, what we face as manufacturers, what we're going to have to be manufacturing over the next few years. So it's just kind of like, we see it at certain levels within Fenestration Canada, but I mean, sometimes not everybody gets to see those. So I'm bringing that to the chapter level, having discussions on the future of energy efficient windows, and what that step code means, because right now the step code it's what somebody wants to specify. So they may just specify, hey, you're going to be level 2 or level 3. I'm specifying, somebody right now could specify level 5. What does that mean for us? So I'm just thinking that maybe just something, what that could mean for our industry in the next few years. So
Take a note of that. It's recorded, right?
And I guess hand in hand on that is the next iteration of the Energy Star requirements, right? That's going to be a major impact, especially if triple glaze is now going to become standard. And, there's already challenges in glass supply. So
The size of windows you do, it's going to be a big issue. By the way, I've talked to Energy Star representative, and they postponed 25 for a moment.
25 is what?
It's postponed.
and do they have a new date yet, or a new year? No.
They said they were coming back to us. They said in the email that she was going to go back to me as soon as she's got a new date, and I will inform you as soon.
Because aside from Energy Star, the government still has 0.82 as around the initial goal for 2030. So
I thought that got burned too.
well, they haven't moved on with it though.
No.
They're not really pushing it, but they haven't moved on. They're just threatening.
Okay, I gotta make a little point there. I'm recorded. You didn't say it was postponed. They're thinking of postponing it. That's why she didn't give me it. Okay, what's the requirements? It's gonna be in 25. It's gonna be like the most efficient today. Yeah.
And I mean, in the last iteration, we had a few things in our back pocket as an industry to be able to achieve it. but this next requirement, especially Energy Star most efficient. I mean, are we talking quads, vacuum? I mean, it's going to require significant investment.
Right.
And-
people don't follow.
Right.
We don't have the solution. We don't have the solution.
No. So, I mean, we got to get talking about this soon, and it's going to require, you know, government funding potentially, getting equipment manufacturers involved as well. So,
How long does it take?
JF, can I chime in?
Go ahead.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Just let everybody know, for the AGM that's coming up, I reached out to the staff at Enercan multiple times asking about presentations, or can they give us some information about the next iteration of Energy Star, you know, where it's going, when it's going to be there. Unfortunately, they've come back and said they don't have anything new to announce. They don't have anything new to present. They don't know when the changes are going to happen. They don't know what the numbers are going to be. So they're aware that we are eager to hear what these changes are going to be as soon as possible. But they're not ready to say anything at this point in time. So just let you know.
Thank you, Terry. Saying that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new installation standard, what's new, what's coming. I'm on that committee. We're reviewing the document right now, so it's time to look at it a little bit, because there's one big change that I'll show you. And all the time, why code and standard? That's what you guys, you know, we do good windows. And these are, you know, that's held by a post in the back there. You can see it. That's why we need code and standard. And this one, what about this one? Okay, it won't leak anymore. Okay, so that's it. CSA A440 standard. Whoa, what's happening there? It's turning around. Maybe I'll have to go back all the time. I don't know. So window and door sky installation. First edition was 98. Second edition 2007, and it was revised in 2012. Third edition 2019, and it's in force since fall 2019. And fourth edition coming in 2024. Like I say, it's in writing, but now we're reviewing it, and then we translate. So may go out the end of 20 or beginning of 24, end of 23. There's big change coming in that 24 version, not big installation way, but in the way that consumers will be able to check. Actually, this version is referenced in that's the 19. 24 version of the standard information if it's going to be in the building code 25. Yeah. Okay. In between 27 and 19, the big difference was the document was a lot easier to use for installers. They didn't have to do calculation all the time to see if the overhang is going out, not to put a drip on over the window and all this. So it was, they did put mandatory with or without calculation. It was easier to adapt on the upside condition, you know, and do calculation and go back to the code to see what to do. Between 7 and 12 and 2019, 2007 was always talking about wood frame around the window. Then we start installing direct with the PVC frame. So they had to change some things. Move installation method on multi-story residential building because it was not referred before for that. And was the product had to be NAF. So the Canadian supplement on NAF. That was in the standard. Like in the 2007 and revised in 12, you could see the schema or the drawing, whatever, and you had to make the calculation. How many shim I have to put, how many screws I have to put, and all this. So that was tough. So what they did, it's easier now. You know that every 400 millimeters, or you have to put in the below of the jam, you have to put a shim. Before they had what they call the, you can see here, on all window, like you have to screw at the bottom on the right there, because the crank was putting a lot of pressure on it. Okay. Now they say just put a shim under the crank and screw through. That's a lot efficient. So, and also it's easier now to calculate every 200 millimeter or minimum, you have to put you have all the drawings. So it's easy. You have the drawing with you, you can do. Before you had to calculate where the region was, what's the, what's the size between the overhang. I need to put a cap. Now you have to put a drip cap everywhere. Okay. You need to all the future possible effects of climate change. To all the possibility. You know, we didn't have rain like this before. Coming over your house. So I would say not it's a drip cap, it's a subsill flashing. You need a subsill flashing everywhere you can install it. Okay. And I asked the committee, what about renovation? He said, well, sometimes it's more, how we say, wrong to put a subsill flashing in a renovation. It's be worse than not putting it. But if there is one, and you're starting to renovate houses who have membrane on the sill, if it's broken, you have to repair it. So putting a patch on it or doing something, because sometimes when they install or deinstall, they break. The code says, not the code standard says repair it if you can. Okay. So it's for new construction, but we're talking, and I don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be a code for installation and renovation. They think about it now. So maybe standard will apply there. Yeah, the diagrams I reviewed to be what's that? Okay. So yeah. There's a new update on installation diagrams that we see. And I think some of you guys heard about that. I think Alan was on the call when we talked about the GCR in Quebec.
Oh, yes.
GCR is the guaranteed residential GC guarantee on new construction. If I say residential construction. They do replace now, without being official, they do replace inspectors in the municipalities. Because all new construction has to have that guarantee by the contractor. Saying that, because they don't want to pay for something that's been done wrong, they inspect all the jobs. And they're tough. I had calls from them saying, they didn't put that. Can you tell me if they have to? They're checking everything. And I would say Robert Jutra in Quebec is in contact with them all the time because they refer to Robert and the APCHU, the AVPF, the Quebec organization to be sure that they do the right thing. And they're making all the drawings right now. They're the one, who does, and they do a good job. You'll see in the new standard, those drawings are great to look at. It's easy. You look at them and you say, okay, now I understand what to do. Not only arrows and explanation there, you can see it, okay? The big change that I was saying before, CSA online tool. This is going to be available with the 2024 standard. So consumer can have access to all those diagrams without buying the standard. It's going to be accessible by the web. So your installers can go to a job and the owner have a drawing on how it should be installed and say, hey, you're missing a shim there. You shouldn't screw there. There's no shim. He's going to know. Okay. That's a huge difference. Because I remember my installer calling me sometimes. We always have an expert as a customer. And he was saying sometime, I remember my big Claude calling and saying, hey, JF, the owner is breathing in my neck here. Can you come and talk to him the time I install the window? And I had to go back. So but now every consumer would be able to do that. Okay. So that's the biggest change I can see. Any question on that? Yes.
We need a mic.
Yeah, just two questions. One is you said that in the 19 that the drip cap is going to be mandatory.
24, not the drip cap. I said the subsill.
The subsill?
membrane,
Oh,
new construction.
okay. So is the drip cap based on the climate that you're in and the overhang? Is that still okay? All right. All right. I just misunderstood. And the second thing, so if a drip cap is being used, is there any reference to windows that have, built-in J trims? And people still, and how do you use the drip cap when windows are being sold with built-in J trims? Is there any talk about that at all? For siding, for the siding returns, built-in siding returns.
But I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have a solution for that?
No.
You don't? Okay. Because I always say with the standard that with the standard, installation standard, they say, I think it was the first paragraph. The installation instruction by the manufacturer will be over the standard. The standard being a minimum. So that's why I say, do you have because your instruction would be, but that's a good question to ask. I have a meeting next week. I'm going to ask the question. That's for, like you say, the G all around the window.
Yes.
On top also, yeah.
On top especially.
Hey.
Water is behind there.
Yeah. It's a big problem. Go in the house. Okay. I'm asking us. It's a good question. I had that for the brick before, and the drawing were out. And you have to start on the warm wall on the sheeting or whatever is there on the membrane, and you got to go up. And that's funny because one of the installer says, I don't do that on the new construction. It's the brick guy who does that. That's a big issue. Yeah, it is. So I remember doing presentation to the Contractors Association in Quebec and saying, that's your job, guys, to make sure it's done properly, because it's your brick guy who's going to do that. So, yeah. Any other questions? But that's a real good one. I'll take a note right after. No? So thanks again. And I want to thank again Novatech, Sherwin-Williams, and of course, Dan Darcy, who's in the room. Thank you, guys. So you stop me?